Happy Holy Week, PT. I'm Jasmine, and I'm here to bring you your devotion for today. My devotion is coming from Psalms 36, 5 through 11. So when I was thinking about this verse, I actually turned on my radio this morning, and the first thing that I heard was a man declaring to stop the violence. And the reason why he was doing this was because a 7-year-old boy was gunned down due to the neighborhood that he lived in. So we hear evil things every day, right? We turn on the radio like I did this morning, or we might turn on the TV, and it's like the first breaking news. And it can feel overwhelming. So in this scripture that I have, in the beginning, before we get to the verses that I actually was given, it talks about wicked people and evildoers and how they are so fixed on being evil that they flatter themselves. Like they're just like, yeah, hey, I'm going to, think about what I'm going to do that's evil and wake up and do it. And you have to be very bold to actually believe that you are going to wake up the next day and just do evil. So, but this is what the psalmist is thinking about in these scriptures. And he starts to lament about it because he's just like, they're disregarding God's judgment. They're disregarding who God is altogether. Like they're not even concerned. They're not concerned about the society judging them or the consequences from society or from the court system or from their own peers, natural consequences, or even, and like I said, the spiritual consequence when it comes to God. So he's lamenting, and after his lament about evildoers, he starts to shift his focus to God and how grand and how big God's mercy is. God's mercy encompasses everything from the animals to the believer, but also the unbeliever. It has to be mercy for an unbeliever to plot wickedness and evil and wake up the next day and be able to do that evil plan. That's God's mercy. But the psalmist in our scripture is not just focusing on that, but finds peace and finds rest in the fact that he knows God and that he will not fall as though the wicked people would, the people who don't know God. But also he is finding rest in the fact that he's asking God to not allow him to become an evil or wicked person. So even though we know that people who are non-believers are not in God, but us that are in God, we could still have evil and wickedness in our hearts. So we never want to get to a point where our heart gets so hardened that we can't be turned away from what we're doing and to get closer to God. So this is what the Psalms is lamenting about and is thinking about. So it's okay to lament. Lament is fine, but we never want to stay in our lament. So there's things in this world. I talked about evildoers and wickedness, and when we think of those things, it could be something that is far from us. It could be something that's happening right now. It's happening in the Ukraine, right? It's a lot of evilness and wickedness because we're seeing the war happen. But that can actually happen really close to home, too. Like I said in the beginning, of gun violence, that can be close to home. But then there's things that can be inside of our home, like domestic violence or toxic relationships or divorces happening or your child's behavior is troubling you so bad that you want to take them to the nearest monastery and just devote them back to a convent, okay? So let's look at what our psalmist's solution is, though, to this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to read Psalms 36, 5 through 11. And what I want you to do is just to close your eyes and to just quietly sit and to just listen to the words and focus on what the psalmist is saying. So in verse 5, it says, "Your steadfast love, O Lord, extends to the heavens, your faithfulness to the clouds. Your righteousness is like the mountains of God. Your judgments are like the great deep. Man and beast you save, O Lord. How precious is your steadfast love, O God. The children of mankind take refuge in the shadow of your wings. They feast on the abundance of your house, and you give them drink from the river of your delights. For with you in this, for with you is the fountain of life. In your light do we see light. Oh, continue your steadfast love to those who know you, and your righteousness to the upright of heart. Let not the foot of arrogance come upon me, nor the hand of the wicked drive me away. So you're probably asking, why does she have me close my eyes and listen to this verse? Because it's important for us to understand that even though there's evil in this world and there's people who are completely turned away from God, that God is bigger than it all. And God knew this, that evil was going to be in this world, at least this part of the plan. And he sent his son, Jesus, so that Jesus can also cover it all for us. So he didn't wait for anyone to do the right thing and then die. He died before you did the right thing, okay? So just as big as God's love is, and it covers not just the person who is the believer, but also the unbeliever, Jesus' love is as vast and as big and as deep as well. But you have to come and know God, because the psalmist says in verse 10, oh, continue your steadfast love to those who know you, and your righteousness to the upright of heart. So waking up every day, planning evil, and being able to do it is mercy. But when death comes, judgment begins. And you never want to be in a place where you're facing God and you never came to know God. So remember this holy week of God's big love and what he did for you, not just creating you and covering you, but bringing forth his son to die for you. And you need to come and know Jesus so that you may know God. So I hope these words have blessed you, and I wish you a great and happy Holy Week.